In the bluest of blue WA seats, a teal-clad army is trying to shake things up as voters mull their verdict. Have you decided how you're voting at this election?
No, I'm still thinking about it, but obviously I'm interested in Cheney because that's why I'm here.
Ultimately, if I vote for an independent and that means a Labor government, then I probably wouldn't vote for an independent.
I'm so disillusioned with the Liberal and the Labor parties and in general, and I'm so worried about what we'll be leaving behind.
So you're voting for an independent?
Yes, yes.
Taking in Perth's affluent western suburbs, Curtin has long been the jewel in the WA Liberal Party's crown. It's only been taken from the Liberals once by an independent in 1996 and was held by former Foreign Minister Julie Bishop for almost 21 years. Her replacement since 2019, Liberal MP Celia Hammond, might have been forgiven for thinking re-election in the safe Liberal seat would be a walk in the park. But she's facing a serious challenge from Climate 200-backed candidate Kate Cheney.
I think anybody who considers a seat safe is not doing their job properly. As an elected representative, your role is to get out, meet your community, represent them, assist them, and that's what I've been doing for the last 3 years and what I hope to be able to continue to do.
Curtin's normally a safe seat. In fact, at the last election, it had the biggest Liberal margin of any seat in Western Australia. However, we don't live in normal times, and sometimes safe seats are happy hunting grounds for independents.
Celia Hammond is responding to the Teal push, highlighting her support for a federal anti-corruption commission and saying she supports economically responsible climate action.
I'm part of a Liberal Party and a Liberal government that actually committed to net zero by 2050. And I was part of the group that worked within the party to encourage the leadership of the party to actually formally adopt that target and to adopt and clearly set out a plan to get there.
That's despite once questioning the extent of humanity's impact on climate change in a 2019 newspaper interview.
You know, as a newbie politician who's now been in for 3 years, what I can say is that that in the course of explaining something or responding to something, you can look back on it and say, could have expressed that better.
The independent candidate, Kate Cheney, is running against the major parties.
For too long, we've seen our two-party system focused on winning elections rather than thinking about the long term, and it's power without purpose. And independents can bring a new voice to that and potentially hold the balance of power so that compromise is made with the centre rather than the extremes.
But the Cheney family has a deep blue history. Both her grandfather and uncle were federal Liberal ministers.
I think the salvation of the Liberal Party requires an external shock, and I think this slew of independents is the way of administering that.
Yeah, I think someone home.
Cheney, a former lawyer, is campaigning on stronger climate action and federal integrity.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
And, like other independents, has the backing of Simon Holmes à Court's fundraising body Climate 200, which has donated $170,000 to her campaign. How can you say you're an independent and not, it's basically the Climate 200 party?
It doesn't work like a political party, and each of those independents has their own policy platform. The thing that they have in common is strong action on climate.
I think it is absolutely appalling the way we have treated refugees in this country.
While some in the party are confident the Liberals will keep its prized seat, political analyst Martin Drum says the contest could be close, especially if Cheney manages to outpoll Labor candidate Yannick Spencer, who has been keeping a low profile.
Well, I think that the Liberal vote's been very strong, and I think Celia Hammond will continue to poll strongly, but Kate Cheney will pick up votes both of Liberals and Labor, perhaps a few Greens votes as well. And the challenge for her is to finish second and siphon off as many preferences as possible.
The Liberals face a much bigger challenge here in Swan, where the margin is just 3.2% and the long-time sitting member is retiring. And it's a similar story in the northern electorate of Pearce, which Labor is eyeing following the resignation of Christian Porter. While in WA's most marginal seat, the Liberal Party is hoping to reclaim Cowan from Labor's Anne Alley.
If the election's really tight, and I expect that it will be, then the West Australian seats will make a massive difference. If there were 2 to 3 seats to change hands here, that could have a really decisive impact on the election.
Curtin candidate Kate Chaney, who briefly joined the Labor Party last year, isn't saying which party she would side with in the event of a hung parliament.
I'd look at the policy issues that are in my platform that Curtin will have told me are important. I'd speak to both parties and look at what they're prepared to offer on those key issues.
Governing the country is not a solo sport, it's not a solo activity, it is actually something that requires a team. And the people of Curtin deserve to have somebody who is actively, passionately and very vocally engaging on their behalf as part of that team.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.